At 80, Barry Gibb's life carries a weight that few living artists could ever comprehend. And the deeper you look, the more heartbreaking his journey becomes. The hook of his story isn't just the music, the fame, or the legendary Bee Gees legacy. It's the quiet, unseen emotional burden of a man who's watched the world celebrate his success while privately carrying losses that would break most people. For millions, Barry is the last shimmering link to an era defined by soaring falsettos and shimmering melodies. But for him, that same era is intertwined with memories of his brothers, memories that both comfort him and silently tear at his heart. The world sees a musical icon, but Barry often walks through his days surrounded by echoes, the echoes of laughter in old backstage hallways, the echoes of songwriting sessions that stretched until dawn, the echoes of harmonies that once blended so flawlessly they felt like a single voice. Those harmonies now exist only in recordings and in his mind. To be the last surviving Gibb brother is not a badge of honor. It's a responsibility, a grief, and a reminder of time's brutal march. He has said in interviews that performing without them is like singing in a space where something vital is missing, like a light that once burned bright, but now flickers softly in the background. And despite his astonishing resilience, Barry's life at 80 is a delicate balance between gratitude and heartache. Every tribute he receives, every standing ovation, every documentary that revisits the height of their fame forces him to relive both the brilliance and the pain. He's the guardian of a musical dynasty, yet he must also navigate the emotional reality of being the only one left to tell its story. There is a lonely nobility in that, an unspoken sorrow wrapped inside a legacy the world treasures. Behind closed doors, his reflections are even more profound. He knows that the world still needs the Bee Gees' music, yet he also knows that the people who helped him create it, the brothers who shared his childhood struggles, his early dreams, his triumphs and failures, are no longer here to see how deeply their work continues to touch millions. Sometimes, in interviews, his voice trembles when he speaks their names. It's not the tremble of age, it's the tremble of a heart that remembers everything. Barry's tragedy is not a single event. It's the cumulative weight of decades. The pressure of fame, the strain of reinvention, the grief of long goodbyes, and the quiet, lifelong struggle of trying to carry a legacy built by 4 brothers on the shoulders of just one. Yet somehow he continues. He continues not because the pain has faded, but because the love for his brothers and for the music they made together still gives him a reason to keep going. His story at 80 is bigger than music, bigger than celebrity. It is the story of a man who has lived a life filled with miracles and heartbreak, who stands tall while carrying memories that the world can never fully understand, and who remains a symbol of resilience in a world that often forgets the emotional cost of greatness.
But to truly understand the weight Barry Gibb carries at 80, you have to look beyond the stage lights, into the quiet, ordinary moments of his life where the heartbreak becomes most visible. It's in the early mornings, when the house is still and the sun hasn't yet touched the windows, that he sometimes sits with a cup of tea and watches the world slowly wake up. And in that stillness, memories drift in like soft whispers. He can almost hear Maurice's laughter, loud, infectious, impossible to ignore. He can almost sense Robin's calm presence beside him, offering thoughtful words the way only a twin soul can. He can still picture Andy's youthful brilliance, the energy of a life that should have lasted decades longer than it did. These moments aren't dramatic or grand, they're quiet, personal, and deeply human, and they remind him of everything time has taken. And yet, they also remind him of everything time can never touch, the bond of brothers who built something magical from nothing. That bond doesn't disappear, even after decades of grief. It lingers in the corners of rooms, in old photos tucked away in drawers, in melodies scribbled on fading pages of notebooks. Barry has said before that the Bee Gees was never about fame, it was about family. That truth reveals the most heartbreaking part of his journey. When the world sees crowds cheering or award ceremonies honoring his achievements, they see triumph. But when Barry sees those moments, he often sees the faces of the people who should be standing beside him to share it. He feels the applause differently than the audience does, because for him, it's not just celebration, it's a reminder of what he has lost. And yet, what's remarkable, what makes his story both tragic and inspiring, is that he continues to show up for life. He continues to write, to sing, to collaborate with younger musicians who grew up idolizing the Bee Gees. He still tries to honor his brothers through every performance, every speech, every interview. Even when emotions choke his voice, even when the memories tighten his chest, he moves forward with a quiet dignity that only someone who has lived through profound loss can carry. There are times when fans approach him, sometimes in tears, telling him how much the Bee Gees meant to them. They share memories of their own loved ones who danced to How Deep Is Your Love, who fell in love to Too Much Heaven, who found comfort in words. And Barry listens. He always listens, because he understands what it means to cling to a song when life becomes unbearable. He understands how music becomes a bridge to people we've lost. And in those moments, he is reminded that the legacy he now carries alone is bigger than his pain. It's something that continues to heal the world, even as he himself continues to heal.